Sally Swisher and I decided that we would do, we'd offer a class on genealogy, and it's going to be on the computer program Heritage Quest, which we can do at the library. We started last Monday night. Sue McNeil came, and Sally found, I don't know how far back you went in generations, 4 or 5 generations, maybe. And so we want to do it for the next, let's see, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st, the last 3 Mondays in July, at 6 to 8 p.m. at the library. Now, on the 24th, a lady from Finger Lakes library system will come over and show us how to use Heritage Quest. She will bring 10 computers with her, so you don't have to worry about bringing your own. And she's very good. I'll tell you a funny story about it. A few years ago, Finger Lakes was offering it to libraries in their system. And so they had a meeting here. Several librarians came, and Heather, our librarian, asked if I wanted to come, and I said, yes, I'd love to come and learn Heritage Quest. So I'd come with a head cold, and I couldn't think straight that morning, and I sat down next to this lady, and I'm sitting there, and she said, if you don't know how to turn it on, it's that button. And I said, I can't even think, I've got a head cold. And I think she thought, oh, brother, there's gonna be some morning with this woman. So they started out by saying, you know, when you do genealogy, you need 2 sources, because you don't know whether the first source that you've checked, it might not be right. I have a great-grandfather who has 2 death dates. I may need a 3rd source because I don't know which is correct. Anyways, she went around the table and introduced everybody, and she said to each person, now tell us where you found your information, what sources you used. And got to this one lady who had a notebook that was this thick, and she said, what was your source? And the lady said, the Bible. I go back to Adam and Eve, I don't need 2 sources. So she said, we didn't know whether to laugh or what to do with that comment. So anyways, there's a sign-up sheet. We've got to limit it. I think she's going to bring 10 computers. And you can come one night, and if you don't like it or don't, you know, are not interested in it, that's fine. We just thought we'd try it. And bring a few of your family names with you, so we'll have an idea of how to start. Lastly, we need a new president to take Carl's place. And I would hope that somebody would feel led to be our president for the rest of this year. It could be 2 people if you want to be co-presidents, that would be fine. There's not a lot to doing. Opening up the meetings, and we'll have 3 more programs. We have a board. We have Ed O'Donnell, Catherine McDonald, Sally Swisher, and Cindy Craig, who are board members. And we meet once in a while when we need to discuss something in particular, or just get caught up on what's going on. So think it over and see if it's something that you think you might be called to do for the rest of the year. I can't be president because I'm historian, and I can't be both, technically. And I'd like to stay being historian. I have one piece of business. The cannon carriages up in the cemetery. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but just as you go up Cemetery Street, just before you get into the cemetery, there are 2 Civil War cannons there. The carriages haven't been painted in quite a few years. I've lost track. Andy Shavesty painted them the last time for us. They need to be done again, and they need a little repair. Charlie Dello, who is a master carpenter, has come over and taken a look at them, and he can repair them for us. It's some spokes that have kind of got pulpy and need to be done. Something needs to be done. And then we have a couple of people who volunteered to paint. Our Historical Society has about $6,000 in the treasury, and we have that inheritance that's up at the village office. They take care of that for us, and that's about $6,000. I would like to have, Cindy being a board member, I think needs to take care of this, but I think I would like a motion from you approving an expenditure between, I think it's going to cost about $2,000. Now, it may cost a little more than that. I don't know. So I'm looking for a motion from $2,000 to $3,000. We could split the cost between the two funds. Part of it out of the checking account, part of it out of the savings account. Okay, very good. And they really need to be done. Anything else that you want to visit about? Oh, you know, next month is going to be a really good program. My friend Matt Ertz from Madison County is a longtime historian, and he's got a really good program on hops. How it got started, mainly up on Route 20, and why did it die off, and now it's coming back. Of course, you know, there are all these microbreweries around, and people in this area are starting to grow hops again. So I think it's going to be a good program. We can't serve beer that night, but maybe root beer. We'll think about it. They won't be impressed if they see all these happy people going on this road, a little loopy. So I'd like to introduce Barbara Kuty. We've gotten acquainted with her last year, Carl and I. We've been itching to see what the building looked like inside. I wanted to go in, and Carl said, sure, you'll fall through the floor, and then I'll have to figure out how to get you out. So he wouldn't let me in the building, but they let us in last year, and it's so interesting. So, Barb, you're all ready?
I'm all set.
You're all set. Okay, come right over here.
Thank you for coming. People have asked why my husband and I bought the mill. We actually didn't have any plans to buy the mill. It all came from a phone call. Grandpa, yes, would you go and look at the building with me? So he came over and he walked around the building and looked at it, and they came back and they're telling me all about this stone building and how neat it is and all. So my husband and I came back and we're checking things out, and you look in the window and stuff, and you see there's a table inside and it's got red cups there, and you look at the ceiling and there's bumps up on the ceiling. Kids have been in there, they're playing beer pong, and we just kind of, okay, the place is going to be a mess. Don't know how they got in, and hope they're not still getting in. So my husband and my granddaughter went back again, and they were walking around, and they went on the back porch, or the side porch, and my granddaughter turns the handle and the door opens. So they went in, and that's where a lot of the pictures came from. They walked around to see what it's like and couldn't believe all the garbage that was left inside, but just thought it was a really neat place. So the place came up on a tax sale, so my husband and I went and we bought it, and have to get started cleaning and stuff. So my husband made the deal where my daughter and granddaughter take care of the inside of the house and we'll do the outside. So I'm right in the yard, and you get tufts of dirt and stuff, and all of a sudden I pull on one and these little animals come running out and running all over the place and go, what the heck?
Let's see if we can turn it up a little bit more.
Okay, the little animals turned out to be bunnies. So, they scattered all over. Well, my granddaughter has a pet bunny, so she was after them, gotta pick them up, gotta save them, don't want them to get hurt and all. And I said, nah, Mom will be back after them, don't worry about it. But before she let them go, she went and she took pictures of them, so she's very proud of those pictures of the little babies. So we go over when we can, because everybody works, has something going, and we've started cleaning. Now, I'm a genealogy person. I've got to investigate, find out how come, why, what for, and, get all the answers. So I started looking at the building and seeing that there's cracks and whatnot, and don't know how you fix them. So started asking around, and there's repointing. And I watched a video on how you do that, and he stressed you do not use cement, because cement does not move. So, but the stones do move. So you have to use a lime mortar in order to put it in, and he's cleaning between every stone, you know, getting it all cleaned out and putting it in, which with a small trowel, something like you use in painting, you know, really tiny, and that's time consuming, and this is a 3-story building, you know, that's gonna take a while. So then I start looking at the deeds. So I went back to 1809 when Sam McGraw bought property here. He bought 125 acres at that time. And he bought it from a gentleman in Brooklyn, New York, which surprised me. So, well, you know, Sam McGraw died in 1836, and the property was sold to his son-in-law, Reuben G. Dodd. And there's controversy as who has built it. I have found, some say Sam McGraw built it in 1811, some say 1815, and then you go to Reuben Dodd, that he built it in 1832 or 1833, and I found a paper that said he had a gentleman working for him in 1830, which was Stillman Holden, and I think, you know, he lived to be 95 years old here and very good at what he did. So I'm thinking Reuben Dodd built this. And he only held on to the mill for 1 year when he sold it to Asa Austin. He held it until his death in 1853. And then it was sold again, and and trying to find out what was going on. I found only one person that there's any information on what was ground, how much was ground, kind of what the value of it was, and that was Norman Kingman. And let's see if I got, well, of course I don't have that paper. I got everything else. He ground wheat, buckwheat, corn, and he would do mixed stuff. And they have 3 different types of wheels to do this grinding. You know, one for corn, one for the flour, and another one for mixed material and all. So he did all right, I guess, for the times, because I don't know that anybody did well because it changed hands so often. And we get into 1895, Albert McGraw bought it back. He bought it from Theodore Shepard. He only had it for 1 year. Now Albert gets it back, he sells the property across the street the following year. And we think he started working on the mill to make it into a residence. Just how long it took him, or whatever happened to all the machinery and stuff that was in the building, don't know. Maybe he sold it in order to pay for the building. So we find we have one postcard that shows you the picture of what the building had looked like early on, maybe in 1920s. Now, of course, we get a hold of this, and we got to use a magnifying glass and go over every bit of it. So you can see up in this top right here is a stained glass window. And I think the window is called a Heritage. The windows are still up in the attic. The pitch on this porch, an architect told me that was done very well because it takes the same shape as what the roof is. He said, so it all coincides. Now, this is being a two-story. When you look at the porch and you see how high it is up, there's 3 steps to get up on the porch to go in the house. Right now, there is no porch and it's level. We've got a cement slab in front of the door. That's it. Everything's come up for some reason. This little building on the side has long been gone, but you can see it has a stone foundation. We don't know what happened to that. And on this side, you can see there's a doorway, and above the door it looks like there's 2 white lines. And I think that's because this door was not properly done when it was done. They didn't put good headers in it, so it started cracking. And then the Browns put a hole in there and made a window. And that wasn't fixed around the window, and we've got stones just falling off the wall. So we know we got a lot of work to do. The second photo on your sheet there is from about 1960. You can see other outbuildings there. There is a garage. There is a, what they call it, a machine shop. The garage was built around 1925. Not sure whether it was the West family that did that or whether it was the Tracy family. Louis Tracy had bought it because he bought it late in the year, so not sure who did what. But this is a very hard picture to see. This one is also from the 1960s. This one you can see that there is a staircase that goes up here. This was done for the Brown family as they were using both floors as a 2-family home. Of course it's snowing out. And you can see on this side you've got the opening to the basement. Now this door opens upward, which is very heavy, and it has a pulley that's about this big that is plastic. And I'm afraid of it. You're pulling this up, so we put posts underneath it to hold it up so it doesn't fall on anybody. Then we have the one that's from 1975. You can see that the old porch is gone and they had enclosed it. This was done most likely to keep heat in. The windows hadn't been changed yet. Stone houses are cold, so you can understand why they want to do that. This is just the front of the building as it looks now. Doesn't have any staircases, it doesn't have any porch or anything here. It's just a plain building. Then we got the one that's on the side to the back. The building looks quite neat, tall, and you can see the back door on the Cortland side of the building. This one shows you the back of the building. It goes down to Trout Brook. It has a wood stone wall that goes across, which was most likely for the water wheel. We don't know where that went to or just what it looked like. There's nothing around to show us. But on the bottom of your page, you'll see close-ups of parts of that wall too. This map shows you the race, which is called the water that came down to run both the sawmill and the grist mill. The race starts about South Ave, and it went past the sawmill, and it comes on down to the grist mill. Now there was a dam that was at South Street, but we're not absolutely positively know just where it is. It's been suggested it's on the east side of the road. It's been suggested it's underneath the road, but the dam was a big part, and there was a pond. From the way I understand it, the water was from the dam was diverted into the pond, and then it went down into the race and was going down to work these other places. Now, in this little one, you've got, I colored it blue and what the race was. And it shows you this dark piece across here is Trout Brook, the original way it went through. And the race came off of that. And over time, I think it was 1885, it was made that they diverted almost all the water to go down the race. And that stopped the brook from going anymore. So now the race has become the brook, which means we lost some land. Our land started out being 2 acres and now it's 3/4 of an acre. So that hurts. Now on this one, not knowing anything about how the grist mills work or anything, I was checking around and I found George Washington's grist mill, and it shows you a mapping of kind of what happens. All the grain and stuff goes up to the top floor and it gets moved down into bins, it goes down different places to go down into the basement. It gets ground up and you get your flour, your wheat, whatever you're doing, and it's sold. I've got the booklet over there that will show you some more about the mechanics of it and all. And yeah, don't bother sitting down.
I'm ready for it.
Okay, this is inside the house. From the front door looking to the back wall. That's approximately 38 feet. You can see there's a nice post here. It's been painted, and I'd like to see all that paint off of it and be just plain wood. I think it would really be a beautiful post. You can see the staircase there. There is no railings on the staircase. They were taken off. Why, we don't know. The bottom step is broken, so, you know, I got tape on it in order, as a warning, you know, it's wiggly. So that, you know, we're always working around something. And this one's this view from the kitchen, looking at the staircase, and you can see the post a little better here. There's 4 posts on each floor. These 2 are the nicest posts. The other 2 must be replacements because they're square, you know, which is disappointing because I'd like them all to be the same. Okay, then this one isn't there, but this is the floor, and it's very tight. It's a hardwood floor. It's very tightly together. There is no spaces. But on this floor, you can see there's it was cut open, right? And we think maybe that's where one of the chutes went down into the basement or something, because why would they cut out a piece of the floor? But we have not tried to do anything with the floor. We know one side it's painted, and the other side it looks plain dirty. The upstairs is the same type of floor. It doesn't have all the problems that this one does. This one, the top picture is when we got upstairs and turned and just looking at it, and you can see there's no railings, no anything from falling down the stairs. You know, you can just go right over. They got a door on the floor. You're walking over the door to get to the rest of the house. You know, and there's holes in walls and a lot of garbage around. Now this bottom one is the doorway to the attic. Now when you get up to the top of the stairs, you got the wall right in front of you. You have to go right, which is going up the attic, or you go left, and then you got to turn and go to the rooms. This, when we first got it, you couldn't even see the wall. It had so much stuff in this hallway, all the way up to the attic, that your 1 foot would fit on a step. The step, only half your foot fits on. That's as big as the step is. So, you know, it's very steep. Now, if you can see, the back wall is just laid. It doesn't have any plaster on it, it's just the laid. And the side wall is cardboard. Part of the wall going up is cardboard. On the other side, it's got some lath on it. And and these are the different heating grates. This top one is the fancy one, and I think we've only got 2. The others look like this long one or this square one. Nothing great, nothing. Okay, this next one, we're down in the cellar, and we've got big posts that you can see they're quite large. They go up, and you can see there's little pieces of wood coming out either side. They were cut off. There were supports that went from one to the other. There's a support. This one would have been going up in the air, and this one's going straight out. Why they were cut off? We don't know why a lot of stuff was done. And this post back here is holding up a little, well, it's a little post on a board like this. And I'm thinking, you know, this is going to be going right up through. Now, this post right here, you can see that there's a ridge here. This is routing from the bottom, and that post is coming down. You know, and you can see that it had been up that much higher. And also, we know there's a lot of work done. Where this is, it's got the flooring that we know has got to come out, and this all has to be redone. So things are going to take a while to get done. It's going to be expensive. This is the cellar door from outside that you go in. And it looks really small, like you're going to be on your hands and knees to go in, but it wasn't. It was just a lot of junk in front of the door. And this is the inside of it, which I think looks really neat. And I would love to take these hinges off from being up top and put them on the side and having the door open the way a door should open, because putting this up over your head, you know, just doesn't seem safe or wise or anything. And then we have a treat that we found up in the ceiling. This is a certificate for a young girl going from the 6th grade to the 7th grade here at the McGraw School. And unfortunately, this parts of it, I guess, mice ate it. This is from 1931, I think it is. This was with the Tracy family, which they also used the name of Tesser. We don't know why there was the name change, but some of them used Tracy and some of them used Tesser. And their deeds are both that way. One's Tracy and the next one says they're Tesser. Yeah. I don't know. This is actually the original piece. Okay, now we have measured the building to be like 32 by 38 because we didn't find anybody having any kind of measurements for it. It's listed as a 2.5-story building. It's got 4 bedrooms, 1 kitchen. They call it building type old style. You know, they call it a full basement. But to us, we think it's a half basement, being it's got all this dirt in there, and we think it was down a lot more in order for wheels and stuff to be turning down there. Got a structure that was built, it says a machine shed in 1900. I don't know if that's just that addition onto the building or something else, because that was later on. And in 1925, the garage was done, and in 1950, they enclosed the porches with screen. And let's see, I have from there, 1885, the McGraw Sentinel had a story, The Belle of the Valley is what they called the grist mill, and they talked about Israel Young Carr had come back to run it. He had owned it for 3 years and sold it, and this is some years later, but my information says it was his son that had it. So you don't know. But he says he put in a large overshot water wheel at the foot of the mill race and has repaired the dam at the village so that it's used of nearly all the water in trout brooks in dry weather. And he has cleared out the long mill race so that the water runs freely and of sufficient and regulated quantity. The mill is in good condition, that 2 men can now work instead of 4. He was able to improve things there. And let's see, there's 35 barrels of flour can be ground a day, and it is considered a usual day's work. Willis Holmes was the mechanic, and they say he was an excellent one. If you had anything wrong, just give him a call. Or holler. I don't know how they called him. But anybody got any questions? Yes?
I come from Long Island. What's a grist mill?
What's a grist mill?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's something that grounds up corn and
Corn,
other
flour.
things. But how does it move? How do the wheels move? It's not a water mill.
The water turns the wheel, and the wheel then turns.
So it's like
yeah.
a water mill.
Yeah. I've got George Washington stuff, which is done the same way.
Who?
George Washington had a grist mill, and they're still using it. You can go and visit. There's a part over there that tells you how it was run, how much they can do. It shows you, they put a silk screen over top of a piece that goes around, which filters the flour to make it pure. And that's supposed to have been a big improvement on what they were doing, so.
So it was on a stream or a little river?
Yeah,
Okay.
which they kind of made.
What do you think you're going to do with it, if and when you get it all fixed up?
My granddaughter wants to live there. She wants the use of the whole building. Plans keep changing. So she's talked about wanting a nice big kitchen downstairs, first floor, open deal. It's got like 2 living rooms, both sides of the front door, and the staircase going up, and we've talked about changing the staircase because it's not up to code. So whether it comes down and goes over, or just how it's done, be figured out at some point. Then the bathroom had been on the McGraw side of the building. She wants to put it on the other side. She wants her laundry up on the other side. And we're not thrilled about her going down the cellar stairs either. So we'll probably have her hot water heater, instant type thing, and heating everything upstairs so that she doesn't have to go down. Upstairs, she's got a lot of clothes. Okay, so these rooms are big. She's going to be putting clothes in one room and having a big bathroom in another room, and the rest of it being her bedroom. So, yes?
Is the colored glass window still there?
The glass, not all of it's there. There's some missing. There's 2 doors or windows that are missing on the sides. The center glass was clear, and both of them are gone. It just colored down, not in the center. Just comes straight down into the bottom.
Is that on the second floor or third floor?
That was third floor,
Third floor. Is that original to the building?
yeah. As far as I know, because the earliest picture we have of it, it was there.
It shows that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing you notice the most when you go downstairs.
Mm-hmm. It's,
Oh, the stone.
yeah, they had changed the windows to be more efficient, and, well, the window down in the basement fell out. The window on the second floor, they had put, I think, a TV wire or something there, and that you touch that window, it falls in, and it twists. You know, it's like in a frame, 2x4 type frame, and we're going, they all have to be changed, you know, having good windows and trying to make sure you're not having any air coming through around the sides of it. So to me, that means you should have something on the stone out front and then come in, you know, just to block as much air as you can. All the doors have to be changed because you want good
Now,
insulated.
in the historic building, there is grant money available to help restore it.
If you, from what I was told, if you go and, you know, make it a historical building, you sign over the building to them and they tell you everything you can and can't do. Which kind of doesn't agree.
No. Somebody want to
Do you know who to contact to get information?
Reservations.
Yeah.
Reservation, it's a legal reservation from New York State, from the New York State Parks and Recreation should have that information. We can give you a name, a contact area.
Because it, in the 70s, I think it was, didn't it go up to become registered as a historic place, and they didn't do it?
Mary Alice Ballardini in Homer is a good one to contact. Well, Mary knows.
You know, Mary Alice, and so she's involved with the Reservationist Association in New York, and also the New York Parks and Recreation also. And so there's different names you could give you, and there are grants out there. My understanding is you have to preserve the exterior, make it look the way it was, back, but the interior you can do what you want, as long as you got the code books.
That, everything's got to come up to code, because every bit of the electric, every bit of the plumbing, floors have to be taken care of, the stairs all have to be taken care
The
of.
exterior.
Yep, that's what we like is the stone, you know, and like I said, to do all that repointing, it's going to be really time consuming.
Hopefully, you get it.
That would be nice. Yes.
It's all flat stones like this, right?
Yes.
Do you know where the stone came from and possibly who built it around here? There was other buildings perhaps like it?
They suggest it came from Solon. They thought that that was the closest stone place to do it. Reuben Dodd is credited with building it, and I think Stillman Holden had helped him. I don't know how many others had helped him, because it's got to take a while to get the stones there, stack them up, get them all pointed, and get it all figured out, because all the beams coming from the side are all in the stone. You know, it was cut out where they were all in the stone. So they took them a long time.
The stone looks, when you mentioned Solon, the stone looks similar to Hathaway. That's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering.
I understood that.
Well, there's stone down in the creek. So we're going, my daughter says there's a lot of it there, so figured if we need to replace some, or like my granddaughter wants to close in that window, you know, and get it so that it's back to the original. And she's, like I said, got a lot of clothes, so probably doesn't want windows, you know, only having one. I don't know if you noticed, but there's only 2 windows on the first floor in the front and 2 in the back, and the same on the second floor. And then there's the 1 window in the back, and it was the 2 windows in the front. So it's not much light comes in there. It's dark.
Did you look at the grist mills that were online, the historic ones, to see how it possibly looked? Because I spoke, I think, with your daughter. Is her last name Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my name's Brown too. And I think Brown.
Valerie, right?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
but none of us are related.
Right.
But she had posted something on Facebook, so I was in Homer and I stopped and talked to her for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her that I had looked online for grist mills, different kinds of
Mhm.
things, just to see, just so that you could get a conceptualized idea of what it may have looked like back then.
Mhm.
Of course, to go look at some of the stuff, you probably have traveled a little bit, but nonetheless, what you have is all 4 walls, the roof,
All the ones I've seen have a lot more windows.
yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering, because if you could get a grant, and there's a way that grist mills are supposed to look, you would have your exterior. I mean, I thought it was exciting when I was talking to her. I have 2 newspaper articles that I'll give you or send you
Okay.
that were in the paper about one selling from one to the other. Just another record for you.
Yes, I keep looking. We have the newspaper record of the Belle of the Valley, and it's probably over there. And I just found, that was in August, and I just found a reference to I.Y. Carr in February of 1885, talking about that he's doing different things here. So, you know, you just keep looking, you put in names, and sometimes things pop up, and sometimes you get nothing. But we've looked at a lot of the grist mills all around. We saw one in Massachusetts. We had thought about making a trip out there, but we haven't gotten to that.
Sounds like an exciting project.
Yeah, and it takes up a lot of time. Well, you can see what I did. I was thinking about looking for people who had lived there or were related to people who were there. You know, you're looking at grandkids, great-grandkids, and that stuff. So the big book over there is everybody that owned the building. I've got something on their family. That's, a lot of it could be just obits that give you children. I've looked some up, tried to get hold of some, and haven't had any luck. There's been a couple wills, which will name some. Sometimes they don't do much, but I just keep looking.
We're looking forward to an open house. And have it all
It's
done.
going to be a while. I know my daughter says that now. Everybody wants to come see.
Yeah.
I'm going, I know. So,
Well, thank you for doing this.
no problem.
She was a little intimidated. She said, I haven't done this before. I think she's done a super job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.